Hey everybody, welcome to another segment of Tony's show, and today we are going to talk about murder. We're going to talk about oh, hold on, jeez, I didn't know that was that close. We're going to talk about how we can use murder to create a major distraction. Remember a couple of days ago I talked about the CDC. The CDC said that we've got to get rid of the white people, and I'm referring to our European or European descent people. And, because people of European descent will look at things maybe a little bit better than some other cultures will. And when we look at a vaccine that may have high levels of genetic material or nano molecular material or nanomolecular motor material that can alter the very core of who or what we are and disengage our genetic code and our DNA and our immune system and create all kinds of alterations to make us more prone and susceptible to being killed and die off. And the crime we have is the fact that we use our brain and read. For this, the CDC representative, which may have been a transsexual, may have been an alien, may have been, is stupid. And you know what's interesting? This was coming from somebody more than likely who had a European descent or, quote unquote, a white woman. I'm not saying white women are bad, or there is such a thing as a white woman, but women who are of European descent or have an ethnic descent from somewhere, they are considered white. But this is a woman coming out, and I'm thinking to myself, well, this is a woman saying that we should kill everybody, and she is of the same tone, skin tone. So I'm thinking that she could talk about committing suicide. I don't know. It just, like I said, made me think a little bit. But this is the reaction that, it stimulates the reaction with me when I hear, first and foremost, I'm being called a color rather than a person. And we need to really get past this, black and white nonsense. And then we're going to be threatened to be killed because of our skin tone. And because we refuse to go along, to play along, to commit suicide. Seems like they're the ones that have the problem, but they have murder on the mind. They have murder on the mind. So then 2 days later I see something that alarmed me to no end. I saw in Minneapolis a police officer, or if you want to call him a police officer, having his leg on a man's neck. Man is down, completely subdued. And he put his knee on the man's carotid artery to block the blood flow to his brain, causing brain damage or oxygen depletion of the brain. And then I think over a period of time he snapped the man's neck, broke his neck. And the stupidity of it all, or the plan of it all, depending on how you look at it, was it was done in broad daylight, done in the general population, done in front of everybody, and it was filmed. Thinking to myself, hey, this is beyond belief. Now I don't call this a colored issue. I don't call it a black issue. I don't call it a race issue. I don't call it a white issue. I call it murder. Period. A man, irrespective of his color, irrespective of what he believed, a man was slaughtered, murdered for no reason. when you watch the video, it should make you feel irate. This had nothing to do with racism in the sense that it was murder. Now, it happened to be that they used a Caucasian or a police officer, a light skin tone police officer, because I don't even want to connect the fact that this man might have some European descent in him. But they brought in an executioner, put him on the police force, and he executed a man who happened to be a man of color, but a man nonetheless. I'm referring to him as a man, not a colored man, not a skin tone man, a man. Just a man. Man created in God's image. A man. And he killed him for no reason whatsoever. If the guy had committed a crime, which I don't know if he did even, whether they just decided to grab this person and abuse him the way they did, and they had him already subdued, why didn't they throw him in the back seat and drive him down to the police station? And then on top of that, they had Bubbo the Tubbo, his buddy, his partner, keeping everybody at bay. And he had his back to his partner because he didn't want to have to face and see what his partner was doing. And he walked by him and he saw that he had this man on the ground, and the man was bleeding, couldn't breathe, kept saying he couldn't breathe. He kept asking the officer to please let him breathe, let him up. You know, he was begging for his life. You know, this man did nothing deserving of this. Nothing. So I watched this thing. I tried watching it a second time. I couldn't. It just wrenched me on the inside to see this going on. I'm thinking 1965, 66, 67 when we had the riots in Detroit. I'm thinking we should have, by now, I'm thinking, have grown out of this, or, you know, whatever. But whatever planned this, or whatever, or whoever planned this, has definitely an agenda. It's funny to hear the CDC wanting to kill light skin tone people of European descent, and 2 days later we have a light skin tone person killing a man of color. A man. This is a dangerous precipice. There was a police officer that came out about a week or two ago and said this guy was, you know, a fraud, blah, blah, blah. But he made a comment. Now, whether he was a fraud or not is not the point here at this stage. But he did make a point that if the police decided to act upon their tendencies to assault and carry on breaking the law and taking away people's rights at their discretion, they're going to open up a can of worms that they will not be able to contain. He made that comment. Now, I don't know what's going on fully with this, whether this is a show and tell, whatever. But there's a little element of truth here going on that's being spoken. And this happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Now, I'm thinking the governor of that state should be investigated. The governor of that city, or the mayor of that city, should be investigated. The police chief of that precinct should be investigated. They fired four police officers. They fired them. How's that going to bring the guy back? How's that going to bring this man back? How is this going to pacify his wife or girlfriend, I'm not sure who it was, that he left behind? Because he was butchered in front of the whole frickin' planet, you know, on this. How is that going to make it right? Makes me wonder. It makes me really wonder. And I'm saying this because I'm saying this as well because this applies to Canada as well. I have heard horror stories from all across this country with the same kind of thing that has happened. See, the difference between Canada and the United States, I'll tell you one of the major differences between Canada and the United States, for those of you who don't know some of the difference. But one of the differences between Canada and the United States is Canada will not air its dirty laundry. Doesn't matter how bad or good it is, will not air it out. Okay, what you'll see in Canada is mountains, snow-capped mountains, rivers, streams, lakes, moose running around, bear, boats on the ocean, the scenic shit, the bullshit. Canada's a, serene, quiet country, that horse shit. In America, they will air out their laundry. They will show you their underwear with the skid marks floating around in the air. That's the difference. Canada has the same dirty underwear with the same skid marks. The only difference is they don't show theirs. That's the only difference. Some may get offended. Some Canadians may get offended and say, oh, we're not like Americans. No, we're worse. We're worse. Because we don't own up to what's going on in this country. And we can't own up to what's going on in this country because nobody knows what's going on in this country. We don't know what's going on in Montreal. We don't know what's going on really in Toronto, whatever they tell us. We don't even know what's going on in cities an hour away from us. Towns and villages are having all kinds of different crimes going on in these areas that we never hear about. Now, sometimes there is no crime, and I get it. We're not a constant, barrage of criminal activity, but when we do have serious crimes going on in this country of that same nature, of a racial profile, that's never talked about. In fact, the media here will try as hard as they can to cover it up. We've had criminal instances here in Windsor, Ontario, where I live, where a young man from the Middle East killed an elderly woman in her 80s for no reason whatsoever. This happened. Okay, and I'm not saying everybody from the Middle East is a murderer, so please don't jump to the conclusion that I'm saying this. I'm not saying that. I am making a point that there was a racial killing that went on and never saw the light of day here. I've had natives talk to me about some of the things that have gone on the reservations. I had one talk to me about an incident that happened a couple years ago in Wallaceburg, Ontario, where they were fracking on the land and they didn't even get permission to go on the land, and when the natives started to protest, they flew a black op helicopter and dumped some chemicals on them. You didn't hear about that either, did you? So we have these things going on, and I hate to see, you might want to do a YouTube search of police brutality in Canada. You might find it interesting what you may find. Maybe you might not find nothing. Maybe you'll find a plethora of things. I saw one again here in Windsor where a police officer had arrested somebody and they got him inside the precinct and they beat the hell out of the guy. So again, I don't know, again, the full circumstances behind that either. So, I mean, maybe there was a justification. Maybe the guy did something to the police officer and he just let him have it. Who knows? And I'm not saying all police officers are butchers either. And they're like the rest of us. They have a limitation, and they can lose it just like anybody else. But that in Minneapolis was completely uncalled for. Uncalled for. That somebody had the authority to, and on top of that was protected so he could carry on the murder. So his partner that was there is an accessory to the fact, an accessory to murder. So I don't know what their laws are in Minneapolis, but that was abhorrent to no end. And I'm saying this because we may see more of this kind of activity throughout the world. Europe may start seeing this. The Baltics may start seeing this. We already saw some of the reactions that happened, the things that have happened to some of the Baltic countries. Europe might start seeing this, Caribbean might start seeing stuff like this, Central America, South America. So I think we need to be aware that something is changing and that your police may not be a protectorate like you've sworn to do. And I can see this leading to other things as well. I can see the gun sales go up. I can see this happening. And I can see black market gun sales go up even higher. They can pass whatever laws they want to pass. They can pass whatever they want to pass. After seeing something like that, it ain't going to matter. People are not going to pay attention to whoever. And now this is going to set a dangerous precedent for both the citizen and the police officer for that stupidity that just occurred. This is, I mean, like I said, whoever planned this, if this was a plan that was done in Minneapolis, it was a stupid plan. Now, can you imagine the people in Minneapolis? Won't matter what the color or the configuration of the people are. Won't matter. Won't matter the skin tone. Won't matter if they're dark, light skin in between, dark in between light. Won't matter. It won't matter if they're ethnic or non-ethnic. It won't matter. The suspicion and the lack of trust with the police is going to escalate even further. I said in the last broadcast, don't trust your government. Why? As we can see what has happened in Canada, they're not worth our trust. Now they're passing laws, giving themselves the power of dictatorship in each province. The different bills they're passing, you might want to pay attention to that. So like I said, we need to really, I will let you do what you think you need to do in this regard as far as protecting yourself, because this is what it's going to come down to, how we're going to now act with law enforcement, if it's law enforcement. Can you imagine this scenario? And I'm going to throw out a couple scenarios here, just so that you start thinking that this is now what can happen. Police officer decides to pull you over. Now you're sitting in your car. You've got your protection with you, whatever it may be. Mace, dog repellent, bear repellent, whatever. And the officer comes at you with a threatening tone. Demanding in a very authoritative way to see ID or for you to get out of the car or whatever. Now you got this in the back of your mind that somebody just got killed in Minneapolis for complying with the police officer. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Now there's the other end of the scenario where the police officer is just doing his job. You ran a red light, ran a stop sign, whatever. He's going to pull you over. Now you're freaking inside your car thinking, what is this guy going to do? Okay, now he's approaching you in a very civil manner. And he's asking for your ID. In a civil tone, not in an authoritative tone, not in an aggressive tone, but in a very talkative, tone. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? See, like I said, these are the things I'm presenting to you so that you don't. You get the gist of what this causes, what this does. And maybe they're planning on wanting people to have a trigger finger and maybe take out some of these police officers, which really isn't fair, because I'll tell you what's going to happen here. The ones that cause the problems will never have nothing happen to them, and the guys that are trying to make a difference and help will be the ones that get taken out. That's the way it always works. And that would be an unfortunate loss. So I'm presenting this because, and I put the link on there, and this is something that we all need to think about. This is not race anymore. This is just outright murder. Murder. Okay? You can put a racial tone on it, and it looks and appears to be racial, but this was murder. Now somebody might say, well, would this have happened if the person was light skin tone, European descent? Definitely. If the CDC is now talking about killing people because just because they refuse to get a vaccine, what do you think is going on now? What do you think is going to happen? It's open hunting season on everybody. Oh, I don't want to take a vaccine. I'm standing for my rights. Kill that bastard over there. Oh, I don't want to get a shot. Kill that bastard over there. That's where this leads to. So I think perhaps they need to rein this in, and perhaps they need to do a really good job on a PR, which I don't know if anybody's going to trust. This is going to get everybody up in arms on this. It's bad enough what we have to deal with and what they're doing. And they're trying to very hard to keep everybody in a state of fear and anxiety so you can't think. And like I stated in the last video, or last audio I did, last show, that 2021 is going to be the game. And you can see them, they're slowly ramping it up. And the big key link in that game is going to be your food. I've been saying this now for the last bunch of shows. Start stockpiling your food. You know, middle of winter, you may not get the supplies in your community or town. There are already towns and communities in Canada that are already suffering from shortages that they can't get delivered to the store because some moron, some jackass, told the farmers to kill their livestock and wipe out their milk production, wipe out their chicken and egg production. Imagine that. My suggestion on this would be to find the local farmers that still have a brain in their head and deal with them direct. Get to know them, support them, keep them in the support loop, because if you support them, they can provide you what you need. Maybe not to the full extent until maybe a year or so, but again, support them. You're going to find there are going to be people out there that don't have a brain, have been completely taken over by the program, and feel some misguided loyalty to this matrix. Totally misguided loyalty. Those you're going to have to watch out for and keep your eyes and ear open on. Perhaps they may wake up, perhaps they won't. But you need to be wise as a serpent, innocent as a dove. That's also biblical. I'm going to continue on the theme on nano weaponry. I had to get that off my chest because it really bugged the hell out of me. I couldn't get over, I still can't get over that he was murdered in broad daylight. Murdered. And he was begging and pleading, and I knew that every time the man was screaming and the man was putting pressure on his neck, that he was slowly snapping his shit, I can't even think of it now. The neck bone. He might have even cracked his windpipe. You know, he was putting pressure, and blood was coming out. And somebody pointed out that if you looked real close, there was piss all over the place, indicating that the man had already been dead for several minutes, and they basically just put the boot to him. And then, like I said, Tubbo Bubbo there, his partner, was standing guard, making sure that he was carrying out his assignment. Imagine that. Imagine that. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Condolences goes out to the woman that's whether it was his wife or girlfriend. I'm not sure. I didn't get that part, but condolences goes out to her for her loss. It's sad that happened. I mean, this was an unnecessary. I mean, the guy didn't even resist. He was down and subdued. Like I said, I'm still, in my own way, so shocked at this. You know, it really reflects on the American system, not on the American people, but the American system. The American system is a shit for brain system, I gotta say. Really a shit for brain system. And somebody said, well, you can't, blame the whole police force because of one guy. Really? There were 3 other police officers there. Why didn't they stop this guy from doing what he was doing? Why didn't they approach this guy? That tells you that police force is just racked with all kinds of corruption. Total corruption. Citizens there weren't enough there to make a difference. But I'm surprised, seriously, that somebody somewhere else can come out of nowhere and let that guy have it for what he was doing. I'm surprised. But where were the other 3 guys there that should have stopped that guy from doing that. So that tells me that police precinct at least is corrupt. And then I have to ask the same question, how many more in the United States are just like that? Canada too, I'm not leaving it out. Like I said, that's a shit for brain system that they have down there. Really terrible. Just terrible. And that was allowed. Seriously, that was allowed. So we'll see now what transpires on this. They're going to try using some frequency technology to pacify the crowd. If they're going to try to use some kind of tower frequencies or use their cell phone to, turn them down. When you look at the Nano Weaponry document, you're going to see something in there that's going to make you think what I just said. Okay, it's going to make you really think on what I just said in regarding to what I just referred to in regarding nano weaponry and its capacity. Okay, I'm going to start off. I'll start off reading this real quickly. Give me a second. There's a lot here. I'm going to end the series with the fourth one. I decided that I've given you so much information now that it should give you enough to leap from what I'm giving you to give you an idea the scale we're dealing with here. Okay, I've got a picture on there where you see over millions and millions of nanoparticulates in a cluster. That's how small they are, and that picture would depict how much would be in a cell. This is when I hear all these people talking about their wonderful little ideas, alfalfa falling in the water and causing this, using vinegar and lemon juice and blah, this causing this, using a rife machine or a spooky, blah, blah, blah. It's these things, when I hear stuff like that, it just, it really implies how ignorant they really are in what they're saying. They have no idea, nor have they studied this correctly. Nanofactory technology will begin with an assembler, a reprogrammable molecular machine capable of making a copy of itself. Now, this is referring to two things. Since molecular machines can be their own machines, since they can replicate, assemble, and repair themselves. They can clone themselves and mass produce themselves. They don't need anything on the outside. All they need is an operating system, a program, and a power supply. Well, the body produces the power supply. It also produces the raw material required to assemble proteins, carbs or carbons, fats, all there. Minerals, all there. It has everything it needs to create what it needs to create inside the body. See, a reprogrammable. Are you getting that word, reprogrammable? Molecular machine is capable of making a copy of itself. And assembler would be an extremely small, composed of maybe 1 million atoms. Okay, when we're talking nanotechnology, we're talking things on an atomic level. Molecular nanotechnology, sometimes called molecular manufacturing, describes engineered nanosystems. Nanoscale machines operating on a molecular scale. That alone, when you look that up, is going to freak you out. It's going to make the hairs on the back of your back stand up. When you begin to understand the implications of these devices and how they work and what they can do and how they operate, it is incredibly frightful what they're capable of. Molecular nanotechnology is especially associated with the molecular assembler, a machine that can produce a desired structure or device atom by atom using the principles of mechanosynthesis. A lot of words there you can look up. Okay, this is about the same as a ribosome. For reference, see the picture of some nanoparts next to a virus. So when you see these, see what's up there, it's a picture. You'll see the cluster of nanoparticulates or nanoassembly that's gone on. And there are millions in that structure there. An assembler would basically be an artificial ribosome. An artificial ribosome. Ribosomes are the little machines in the cell that manufacture every protein in your body. Its basic design hasn't changed in over 1 billion years. Now I put a special note here. When the nanobiotech integrates with your ribosomes, it initiates a new program for assembly and operation. Till you disengage the program, it will continue in its objectives, so anything that can directly assault us will just charge this and cause it to adapt and modify with a mechanism to defend and will improve upon its design. The nanomolecular machine works the exact same way as your cells do, with an identical operating system designed to be adaptable. Okay, that's what you're dealing with. This is what you're dealing with. Some of you are going to be freaking out and get overwhelmed. Well, it's good that you do. I don't apologize for that. I think it's great that you do get a little overwhelmed. But I didn't write this down to scare you. I wrote this down to show you what it is and then to give you some ideas on what to do. Nanomolecular machines repercussions. So there's a list of things that they had back in the day. When you see it, it's a little picture. You might have to blow it up. But when you see it, you see all the health issues that are implicated with this technology. And I've been saying for a long time in my discussions that all the health issues that we have had is all tied to nanotechnology, or these nanomolecular machines that have been constructing different things in our system, causing our immune system to be compromised. Every health issue that we have been dealing with in the last 60 years is tied to this technology, or nanopollutants. Because before this nanotechnology was really up and running, we were already exposed to nanoparticulates just from the industry and the manufacturing of the time. They didn't really have these filters, and they were putting out tons and tons of these nanoparticulates that we all have been exposed to. Some of the health issues in regard to being exposed to this molecular takeover, and this is not all the health issues, as a result of advanced research and understanding, you can attribute to health concerns, all of them, to exposure in this tech without exception. In other words, everything that we've ever been compromised with is all tied to this technology, nano or nanoparticulates, or anything nano in any form of pollutant, metal, or construct. Inducement through vaccinations, medications, supplements, foods, water supply, air, pollutants from industry and manufacturing, even cosmetics, toiletries, cleaning agents, clothing. In fact, all your GMO and GE foods uses this nanomolecular biology to affect the crops and livestock fed these crops, and then essentially to the general population. There is no organics. Period. If anybody's still bamboozled with the fact that you're going to eat an organic food, I got news for you. I've already discussed many shows ago, that GMOs and genetically engineered foods, the pollen from these foods travel approximately 40 miles a day, 14,000 miles in a year, north, south, east, west, northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. And this has been going on since the 70s. Okay, since it's almost over 50 years. So we're pretty well hooped when it comes to the food supply anyway, because all this stuff has now integrated and has caused cross-pollination, and with the nano that they're also spraying on the crops, smart particles, smart sensors, chemtrail fallout, pesticides which have nano delivery in them, coatings that they put on the plant, which is all nanobiology. We're eating it on just about every level. If you wanted to create a mutation experiment to determine the results, then this would be done easily by aerosoling the sky. To use people as test subjects to affect change in their genetics by inducing the nanomolecular components in a vaccine. You could program a disassociation with the DNA and the immune system, or you can disengage the mechanism for the immune system to respond to an invading assault on a host. GCMAF is disengaged through vaccines. That was one that came to mind. Or you could increase the efficacy of the delivery of this medication with permanent disengaging of normal biological functions and manufacturing of chemistry. The benzodiazepines comes to mind. It accesses the receptor sites and then shuts down the normal production of GABA. This, when you read this, you can see how we have all been targeted for war. We've been in a war all our lives, not knowing who was assaulting us, not knowing who was attacking us, not knowing who was violating us. Okay, we have been in a war all our lives. None of the things that they have been perpetrating to be our benefit or have any kind of benefit has ever amounted to any truth. In fact, every time they have come up and said this will benefit mankind, okay, it always worked against us. It always assaulted us. It always corrupted us. It always compromised us. There has not been one thing that has been created in the last 100 years that hasn't in some way, some form, in some fashion caused a compromise in our health. Even the electricity that we're using, AC, should never have been used. It was used because it was easy and convenient and it was more efficient than DC. But when you look at the studies on AC alone and the genetic damage it causes, and this is just one little thing. When you add all the other things that are assaulting us, cell phones, iPads, computers, portable phones, RF towers, 5G towers, 6G towers, 7G towers, RFs, EMFs, ELFs, AM, FM, and a host of other frequencies and signals. We begin to see the picture of how we are constantly being assaulted. Now you're eating a nano-contaminated food, which we call genetically engineered. That nano material that's inside the food, bound with the carbon, protein, or fat that you consume, that will now engage itself inside your body and immediately begin to construct whatever it needs to construct to build the network is designed to do. And as a result, we start now having genetic disorientation, DNA damage, DNA helix damage, structural damage to the DNA, chromosome damage, mitochondrial damage, cellular damage, antioxidant deficiencies, enzyme deficiencies, organ damage, digestive system damage, and the list goes on and on and on. You can tie, like I said, every health issue that we have to the nano assault that we've been assaulted with. You look up any metal, any toxic metal, and see how dangerous it is on just a micron level. When it is on a nano level, it is 1,000 times worse. Iron on a micron level, when you use it with copper and vitamin C, has benefit. It helps, restore the hemoglobin, and it brings oxygen to the body. It can renew the blood. All kinds of benefits on a micron level. On a nano level, it poisons you. Iodine on a micron level benefits the thyroid. If thyroid has a regulator, and selenium is part of that regulator that regulates how much iodine gets into the thyroid. Now take iodine on a nano scale, and now it fries the thyroid. Has a completely different effect than normal iodine has. Silver, colloidal silver, real colloidal silver built on a micron level, benefits the body on a small dose, 70 part per million and higher, to help the body fight off infection. On a 10 to 30 part per million nanoscale, it destroys the male genitalia, wipes out the testicles. It can cause spinal damage, brain damage, liver damage. Okay, that's the difference. That's why when people are constantly writing to me, says it's okay to use this 10 part per million. This is, well, it's a nano on a nano scale. So did you see nano on the bottle? Contact the company. I also ever and ask them if it's nano. The health food industry is a compromised industry. Been saying that for quite some time. And you don't know who to believe anymore in regarding to these supplements. And that's a legitimate concern. It really is. Well, I'll tell you one way. I will tell you one way that you can determine what is real in the health food industry. And that is real simple. Do the research on nanometals, all of them. I got a link on my augmented force page on the nanotoxicology, which refers to a lot of different metals on a nano scale. And when you read where a lot of them go to the brain on different parts of the brain and then start assembling a network, the molecular machine now is replicating and cloning itself and building the device in your brain or in your head. You might begin to realize how you've been bamboozled by the bullshitters in the health food industry. That's how you know. That's how you can tell. See, anybody can come out there with a suit and a tie and call themselves a doctor. I remember meeting one guy in Arizona who called himself a doctor, and the guy was an actor. He wasn't a very good one either. But he wasn't a doctor. And from what I had understood, he got his diploma from some online thing where you paid $120 and they gave you an official diploma. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. This was real. And as a result, he was giving advice, and bad advice, to a lot of his so-called clients. So, and what a lot of them do is they follow the status quo. They follow the status quo. And if a product has got all kinds of excipients, phytoestrogens, xenoestrogens, nanoparticles, metals, coloring agents, anything with a high cellulose material, which is all nano, they don't care. They don't care, and they will sell it. Because you, the general population, first and foremost, don't know if they're telling you the truth or not. So when you start looking up this nano stuff and you begin to see, wait a minute here, why are they putting this shit in the bottle? That's what you'll think. Why are they doing this? Let me continue on here. Okay, we're talking about how permanent disengaging of normal biological functions and manufacturing of chemistry, the side effects as a result of causing the brain to imbalance a horrific enzyme activity, ROS response, histamine response, deactivating ATP production, disengaging mitochondria, reprogramming the digestive system, cellular mutations like cancer, brain malfunctioning, Alzheimer's due to the heavy metals overload and the brain producing the protein that would block the flow to the brain, or the Parkinson's where the nanomolecules are embedded in the brain, causing a network across the brain, causing the brain to short out. As a result, you see the shaking and the stuttering effects. To further the details on how this can and does assault everyone. Conceivable types of nanoweapons are limited only by human imagination. This is going to further explain what I just said above. And include a variety of agents that may be designed to kill or maim human beings, animals, crops, or attack any of the many environmental systems composing of Earth's fragile ecosystem. A small sample of the types of potential nanotechnology-based weapons include the following. 14 nanopoisons could be delivered to individuals, small groups, or large group targets, not only to kill or disable, but could be also used to trigger a specific brain function or neural pattern, thus affecting a form of mind control. Did you get that? A nanopoison that could be delivered into an individual, small group, or large group targets, not only to kill or disable, but could also be used to trigger specific brain functions or neural patterns, thus affecting a form of mind control. For example, by reducing aggressive impulses, didn't we just see something going on in Minneapolis? Imagine that. Imagine if they start flying around aerosoling Minneapolis. Experiment. By reducing aggressive impulses or rendering victims pliable and subservient. Nano mind erasers. By reducing aggressive impulses or rendering victims pliable and subservient. Nano mind erasers. Are you getting this? How everybody's complaining how they can't remember shit. What was the different? The CRMS disease is what people used to tell me. Can't remember shit disease. This is what it is. They could modify or even erase a person's memory by inducing a succession of tiny and unnoticeable microfields targeted to certain brain areas, creating Alzheimer-like symptoms in its victims. And the reason why that would work is because you've already got the nanometals in the brain that's formed a network inside the brain. So if it's in that section of the brain, all it would be required now is an on switch, an activation, and now you are in. You think you got something going on. You can't think, you can't remember. You feel like you got dementia. You know, they've been saying that as time went on, by 2025, 2035, that we would have a planet full of people that would have Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. That Alzheimer's and dementia would be the #1 problem of the day. Did you ever think when they said this that they were planning to turn everybody into a doughboy or doughhead? Jello brain? This is another assault on mankind to turn men into bubbleheads. You know those little bobbers, you just tap the head and just bobs up and down, and just keeps on going with the momentum. Doesn't know why. Nano heart stoppers and stroke inducers would operate by restricting neural or arterial blood flow, causing excruciating pain, permanent damage, or death to its victims. Invisible nanoneedles could be projected at victims like bullets from guns at extended distances to arrest victims' physical movement or otherwise disable them. We saw that on Three Hearts Church with Sherry when she was showing that little video by Dust called Nano. How the police officer had induced inside the woman what she called being docked or having nanoparticles docked to her cells. So now all they had to do is hit a button and no matter where she was, they would respond and incapacitate her, made her paralyzed. And then could track her. Imagine that. We're talking about something that's already here and now we're being entertained with. In addition to serving as weapons of mass destruction and for targeted assassination, nano devices can operate as nano dust spies for reconnaissance purposes or sentinels in defense applications. Respiratory, ingestive, or dermal exposure to seemingly innocuous nanoparticles may pose a health hazard depending on the size, surface, composition, and bioreactivity of the particles that can cause adverse cellular and neural effects. What makes this technology extremely dangerous is the fact that even medically, when they talk about using this technology as a delivery method for delivering and targeting medications to a specific area, what makes this so dangerous is you can't get it out. Or getting it out becomes very problematic because the technology with it to keep on cloning itself, replicating itself, assembling itself, and networking itself keeps going on. If you have other nanomaterials that are already in the body programmed to assemble, it could attach itself to that construct or to that program and further promote or propagate the network involved. This is what is real. You can look this up, and I'm going to tell you again. Don't believe jack shit I'm telling you. Nothing. Zero. Don't even, nothing. Go look it up yourself. Look at the data on there. Use the keywords that are there. They're all over the place, and start doing your own investigation. For those of you who may have a hard time, you can go on my website. Look at all the data there. Go on Brian396's website. You can still find anything of his still standing. Go look it up there. Go investigate this information. Everything around you has been designed in some form or fashion to assault you or compromise you in some way. And because you are already loaded with this nanomaterial, even using a cell phone which can directly connect your phone to your DNA, is all done through this nanomolecular activity. This has been going on for quite some time. And it's not going to stop soon until everybody starts waking up. Hopefully, when they do, it won't be too late. So as you can see, you've been duped and continue being duped by the medical field, and with their incompetence, with their diagnostics. Nothing is as it seems. Nothing is here to assist us or our endeavors to seek a long and prosperous life. The introduction of the molecular machine with the right operating system can make it the most dangerous assault weapon on the planet. Don't be deceived into thinking that this is not all bad. Historically, whenever any was made for the benefit of mankind, it's always 100% of the time was a bane and caused untold damage to people who use these benefits. But none of them are recorded. None of these are recorded. And with the latest from the CDC saying they want to kill white people because they do not want to partake of their molecular technology that can cause irreparable damage to the DNA, genetics, chromosomes, and cause genetic transfer of that damage for up to 7 generations. They feel this benefit that the European descent or European immigrants should be punished by execution. What a benefit. Take it and you're screwed. Don't take it and you're dead. All right, what can you do? Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Everyone has this oh shit, I got a typo here. Everyone has this technology in you. Don't worry that the globalists were equal opportunists when they came to sharing death. Are you feeling privileged yet? And so with all the technology on any level, the only thing missing once the system is built or loaded is to activate. And once it's activated, then there are only 2 ways to turn it off. Either A, shut it down, or B, wipe out the program that it's operating in, and then proceed to remove the constructs. But in the interim, you need to prepare not only in the removal, but also on the prevention as to minimize exposure or neutralize. So in this section, I will mention a few things I've utilized and have shared globally with people who have also used these methods with success to bring down the loads to a manageable level. Let me insert here that as far as I know, there is no cure due to the fact we are constantly being reloaded with these molecular machines daily and just breathing and eating. But there's ways and means to manage the loads, reduce them down, and have relief. I'm still working on better solutions. The anti-nano bucket produces an EMP or degaussing effect in the nano when you place your legs inside. The bucket with the water and acid and salt mix, acetic acid or vinegar, or you can use citric, without the pulsing, you will remove only biofilm. Materials used by your system to either break down or contain the assault. With the pulsing, you will see all kinds of nanoconstructs released, from chips, fullerenes, wire-like looking tubes, metals that are shiny, black carbon, and or barium titanium, silver, aluminum, what happens to be a sulfur, copper particulates, metal particulates, mimetics. With the pulsing, you begin to remove constructs, disengage the program, and drain the body of the buildup. May even see varicose veins diminish, may see bruising of veins recover, see lower back pain become lighter and lighter till you almost feel like normal. Kidney overload is lessened, and you may even feel less movement inside the body, the crawlies, which are quantum dots. You also have the option of the anti-nano triangle, which can be placed in the tub. This hits the whole body by adding 4 salts, TSP, Epsom salt, borax, and baking soda, a quarter cup of each. You hit the whole body as well. The salts will also disengage radiation from the body. That's the baking soda and the boron, or borax, which are constantly exposed to on a daily basis. You may feel even more alleviated as a result and may see even bigger volume of release and relief. Building scrambler units in your dwellings will minimize activation by distorting the signals entering where you work, live, or which can also increase ionization in the area where you place the machine. Adding shielding on the walls, a Faraday cage-like unit, or painting the interior with either lead or copper and grounding the walls. Make sure you have a direct ground. This will also redirect the activation, and in fact, utilizing these things may assist in your sleep patterns. You can also make yourself a portable EMP device, which that you can EMP yourself several times a day to decrease the disabling of the molecular machines, nanobiotech assembly, and afterwards bathe with the triangles, and it can go a long way in the removal of the use of the anti-nano bucket. So with the devices you can build. So I gave you a link on the BitChute where you can start building. This can go a long way in the removal and disengagement of the program. Foods to consume are basically saturated fats, creams, eggs, yogurts, full fat, kefir, full fat, butter. I'm going a little fast, so if it's gone too fast, you can access the link, because I've got the link and the document's all done. So I'm just sort of reading off of this, so this way everybody can have it. So cream, eggs, yogurt, full fat, kefir, full fat, butter, ghee, palm oils, lard, tallow, lanolin, for cellular repair and integrity with hormone balance. Do not use any omega-3, especially canola, flax, or fish oils. These will increase the compromise of the cells and break down their cellular integrity. Do not consume veggies above the ground. Stick to the root base and mash them down. This will form a fiber when mashed and consumed, and followed by a beverage will help in the removal of the buildup in the colon. Veggies you want to consume are high in saponins, which can keep kidneys as well as blood flushed. Sulfur-based, like onions and garlic. If you have thyroid issues, do not use horseradish, radish, or black radish, or mustard. These will cause more compromise of the thyroid as well. Any animal protein or full-fat dairy utilized. Do not use pea, soy, rice, or hemp proteins. They will either have glyphosates, phytoestrogens, are incomplete, and deplete the body of minerals essential to antioxidant enzyme production. Water usage. I had another typo there. Shoot, you saw it now. Water usage should only be distilled or RO water. Water was meant to hydrate, cleanse, and activate. Spelled that wrong too, crap. The argument utilized is without merit of the dangers of depleting effects of water. There is no evidence to substantiate the claim that it strips from the body whatsoever, and you need the cleanest water available to assist in the cleansing of the system. Other waters with gimmicks are what they are, gimmickry, and if you're using minerals, then the cleaner waters will assist in utilization, less to clean. Detoxification is going to be important. Once you disengage, you have to remove the debris that is still inside, which if it's not removed, then your immune system will be on full on trying to remove. The use of sodium thiosulfate is one of the most effective I've seen in removing this in huge volumes. To date, nothing I've seen comes close to the effect. Only drawback is it tastes like crap. For more details, I'll give you a link. So you're getting pretty much, everything in a nutshell here. So there are some typos there, and I apologize for the typos, but I encourage you to go look at this and copy it and apply it. Share it. Share this with everybody, because we're all under the same assault. Check things out. Look at this stuff. Investigate. Don't listen to anybody. Investigate. If it can't be substantiated, if it's just a feely, touchy, I feel this, I feel that, disregard it. Feelings can be misleading. Intuition can be even misleading. If your intuition or feelings can be substantiated, then by all means go with it. But if it can't be substantiated, then what do you got? Fluff. Validate your work. Validate your efforts. Validate whatever you're doing. Experiment. Explore. See what you come up with. All right, I'm going to let it go for now. Oh, I forgot, almost forgot. Okay, on my site there are people on there that are doing stuff. You got Sherry Three Hearts Church, you got Aramac or Yanni, you got Brian 396, you got myself. So feel free, if you wish, to share the data. If you want to contribute to any of these people or anybody involved, by all means do so. Feel free to help in any way you can. One of the best things you can do is share the message. If you can't, if you are financially strapped because of what's going on, don't worry about it. Okay, it happens to everybody. But do what you can. Share the information. Share it with people. Just give it to everybody. Don't try to convert nobody. Just give it to them. Let them figure it out. All right. Until the next show. To your health. Oh, one more thing. I've been reminded on my emails. We are still here. Remember that. We are still here. All right. See you in the next show.